All right, folks, we are back for episode three. Today we're gonna go ahead and talk about let's see here, what's on the docket. Trump and the tariffs, uh that comedy show called Zelensky One Night in Washington. They'll never forget. Difference between product management in America versus Canada. And let's see, case study salaries. We're gonna cover all that for y'all. Let's go up there and kick things off because we have one Canadian product manager here actually. Paola, you are based where on the west side, right? Beautiful.
Sure. I mean, I'm currently in Vancouver, but most of my experience are in Toronto. So that's my big product management experience there.
Both cities I know very well growing up. All right, let's talk about it. Trump and the tariffs. Are you guys feeling it right now already in Canada? What's going on out there? Is there bloodbath? People raiding Wegmans and all that?
No. I mean, I mean, for a lot of Canadians, they've been kind of preparing for this for months now, a month now. They've been thinking like, all right, so that's why there's like this big movement all about like, okay, what can we buy that's not American? And so and it's actually working. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually kind of insane. The way it was just like, you guys have no clue. People here are disfranchised until Trump came, and everyone's just like, all together. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that. I've not
Wow.
like the French are all like the French Canadians are one of the harder ones to like get along with, and they are getting they are like forefront
Wow.
center of this one. They're
Oh
like,
man.
nope. It's actually
Uniting
kind
the
of
enemies.
Wow.
like you guys have like conservatives are winning. Like they're gonna win. Like it's supposed to because the election's supposed to happen very soon. And there were supposed to have been like 180 seats or something. And then Trump came and they're like down to 130 or 120. Like because and then the
Wait,
liberals are coming.
Trudeau, he resigned
He resigned.
and there's been no leadership since then because he's
So he's
resigned a while back.
Yeah, he's resigned like a month back, but he's like the prime
Oh
minister
wow.
still. And like, so he's still
Oh.
representing the prime minister while they're still figuring out who's going to be the leader. And I'm pretty sure that who's going to be the leader is like the guy who was like Bank of Canada, like governor of Bank of Canada back in 2008, which is why we never had a housing crisis. And then like we've never experienced a housing crisis here. Like that's the guy. And then he went to like become a governor of Bank of England. And so like this guy became like this all other like popular guy coming out. So I'm just like, oh, all right. Like it's actually kind of insane. The conservatives were gonna win. The conservatives were going to win, and now no one knows what's happened. And this is like because of the tariff. And like it's kind of insane, like how that just changed because of Trump. So yeah, that was a very
Oh
fun.
wow.
That's
What
a
about
really interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Love him or
Yeah.
hate him, Trump is good at like uniting his
I
people,
think
and then he's good at
people.
uniting his enemies as
Good.
well.
I, I,
He
I
like he
he's
like
getting things actually like I think like love him or hate him, people have like a lot of respect for him because he's like actually getting things done. Like the
right,
first
right.
30 days that guy
He signs the executive order, right?
was just clearing that Trello board like up, down, left, right,
Yeah.
center, man.
Whether you like the ticket or not, it's up to you, but he is getting things done. That is, I will say that.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so yeah, I think it's actually gonna be pretty good because like overall, like having spent like my summers in Canada too, we'd always take a little trip out there to Montreal, and it's just like they'll always say bonjour first, and then they're like, oh,
Yeah.
hello. uh
Yeah.
Actually, and like that kind of brings me to like this other topic, which is like, what do you think the difference is between like product management in America versus Canada?
And so remember that Great Resignation 2021, the best
Right.
management, like that economy for product managers.
Oh, that was the
Oh,
best
That was the best time, right?
time.
All the best.
2021.
Oh
That
my
was,
gosh.
everyone
People
wants to go
were
back to that.
people who are
talking about
milking
like
multiple jobs
I was
at a
like
Oh,
time.
I
8 degree
love it.
black belt at the 4 hour work week 2021, dude. I mean,
Right? It was a
2021.
time.
Oh man.
I think I was like popping a bottle of wine and a steak, like I think 4 or 5.
Yeah, no, it was
Wow.
good. I was a product manager back in Scotland there, and I did not want to live there anymore. And I
Oh
wanted to go
wow.
back to I wanted to go back North America. It was either US or Canada. And so first off, I'm a Canadian citizen. I went to U of T for my master's, and I went to another Queens for my undergrad, like all Canadian kind of credentials, right? And it was insane. I had a harder time getting a job in Canada than the States. Like
Oh
it was so much
wow.
harder to get a product manager job in Canada than the
Really
States.
in 2021 during the Great
In
Resignation.
2021, there were enough jobs, but how can I, there's just, I mean, there's more jobs in the States, but it's so much harder to just, the interviews are a lot harder in Canada, and
Oh.
and even though the salaries are lower, there's just enough people coming in the country. So it's just like there's still enough product managers for them to pick on or pick from. Um, and so it was so weird because I think I remember if you guys probably look for jobs then, I had like 30 interviews or like 40 interviews in a month or 2 months. And it's
Wow.
almost like there's still more US interviews and than Canadian interviews,
Oh
even though
wow.
I was like
So,
applying to both countries. It was very it's and it's still like that. It's more network based, I think, in Canada. Like it's like
mm,
who you know.
Oh, I
That's
see.
very important.
you've worked in product in Europe, Canada, and the US then, Paolo?
Yeah.
Oh wow,
How, how
that's
about the
interesting.
people? How are the Canadians versus the Americans versus the Europeans in the workforce? From my experience, Europeans do not work. They write like you write them an email and it bounces back and it's like, "Oh, I'm on my summer vacation. I'll respond in 30 days, 60 days or something." And then Canadians, I think they're hardworking. I don't know. I work with this one Canadian lady and she's like really hardworking.
I mean, I had burnouts in three, so I can say that it depends, but you're right. Europeans don't they really value work-life balance a lot. Like that is a way to say that.
I love the phrasing.
I
They're
know.
very work-life balance, but it's also about actually I don't know if you've noticed, but conversation is very different with different
Oh.
countries, with different regions.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, I find with Americans, there's a dance to a lot of conversations. Not everyone, because here people don't have that problem, but or not problem, sorry, that I don't know if you've noticed, but with Americans, when I talk to them, they don't ask questions. And it's almost like there's a pause, and that's when you kind of have to say what you're about to say. They give you a pause, but most Europeans don't know that pause. Most Canadian, like you almost have to be exposed to it. It's a cultural difference, and I've only noticed it because I've worked with three different like nationalities at this point. But um, I found that especially when dealing with clients, um, they there's not a lot of questions asked in the States, even though but a lot of it is but there is a pause and you have to put your what you're about to say in that pause. It's a dance. And I don't know whether you noticed this or not, but in Europe there's a lot more questions, but there's a lot more slowness when it comes to it. Like there's a lot more critical thinking and there's a lot more pondering because you have to really think about it. And so there's not a lot of action. In Canada, I always find that Canadians are in the middle of Europe and American sort of like culture.
So what are
So
they looking for, you think? What do you think like Canadian companies versus American companies versus European companies? Like what's the North Star or like the key sort of characteristic that they're looking for? Like I think in the US, for example, if you're like going for startup roles, they're looking for somebody really gritty and resourceful and right?
Mhm.
And there's a specific personality that they're typically drawn to. Have you seen that, or is it really based on company? Like, does that culture impact what's expected from the candidate, essentially, both pre-interview and after you're on the job?
It depends. Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think they all expect this if it's a startup, no matter if it's a startup, you're gonna have to work more than every other person. You're gonna have to take on different hats. So I had to take on different hats in each country. But the difference is the funding. I think is a lot more restrictive. So for in the States, like startups, you can get I remember back in Scotland, we were trying to get funding from California versus British investors. And the British investors are mostly private, like it's mostly private connections that people knew, like the owner knew. And the biggest difference is that in the States, one call, two calls, you get $3 million. And um in Scotland, I remember we had to go through like an interview, we had to talk to a lot of people, and then it's only 30,000 pounds or 40,000 pounds. And it was just a lot more process in because of that. And in terms of product management, that usually meant you're restricted on salary, you're restricted on resources so that you can't just keep using a lot of tools, for example. You don't have like um uh you don't have that beer on tap sort of office situation in like the States would. And like that's kind of the difference. Like there's not a lot of money and you're kind of restricted because there's not a lot of money.
Why
It's
why is there more money in the States?
Yeah, because you got 50 states. I mean, if like so like
Oh.
if you have like the the reason why like the US attracts the best people
Mhm.
from Canada and the UK is because first things first is like I remember I was actually just watching this there was like an Instagram short I like saw when I was like doom scrolling this like old European guy that's like kind of made all his money already. He's like the reason why I went to America and ate like bad bread and like drank bad coffee for all those years is you can get funding. He's like, they know
Mhm.
they know what they're getting into. They're okay losing it.
Mhm.
And it's also because it's the funding culture here is very different. That's why like all the VCs they just packed up and went to California. They're not like in like even it's not like so much an American mindset is like a lot of those like Sequoia Capital and Jason Hort, they're all like headquartered out there in the West Coast because they didn't want to evaluate tech companies like the East Coast bankers. They're okay losing it. They're very
Really?
diversified. Yeah. I mean, they'd rather not, but they're a lot more okay with like a shipment gone missing than like in Europe. They can light your
I
whole
mean,
house.
the expectation is to lose, right? Like
Right, right,
this,
right,
these
right,
funds
right,
have gotten so
right.
massive now, and the capital markets in the US is by far the largest and the most mature. And I do think the risk tolerance definitely plays a part, like you were saying before, Paolo. Like Americans, we're capitalists, right? We're here to take risk and win when we're right. And so the model for VCs now is they like a vertical, they like a theme, they'll pile money into it. And the idea is not to pick the one right winner, but it's to pick 4 to 5 players in a space and
Mm.
hopefully one of your bets play out, right? And so,
Yep.
like I have a buddy of mine that just raised
Okay.
20 million bucks without a deck, right? It was an elevator pitch. Granted, his pitch was very attractive, but
What did
still
he
like raising 20 million
pitch?
on verbal. He
Was it
pitched
sauce?
uh it's not SaaS, it's actually improving healthcare and building efficiencies. Like
Oh,
our
good timing.
it is
Yeah.
wonderful timing. Yeah, I think timing is great. Like most people don't know, like the US healthcare system makes up one of every $3 in the US economy. It's a third of the US economy,
Oh,
right? We
wow.
drop we airdrop with over $1 trillion a year into Medicaid, Medicare, and overall healthcare. And
Luigi
so it's a
Mangione
huge
knows
part.
that for sure.
I'm sorry? Yeah.
Luigi Mangione knows that for sure.
I mean, and I think that kind of speaks to like how bad the problem has gotten, and the system's just really bloated. And it's a unique problem to solve, but because you can't disrupt it, right? Like services need to be continued to be rendered, provided, right? You can't like pause on medications or, nursing, right? Especially for the more sensitive populations. And so, yeah, granted, it's a great idea, but he came to them with an idea, and he just closed on 20 million bucks in less than a month. And so it
Is
just
it a,
goes to yeah,
oh, sorry. I'm just
yeah,
fascinated. Is it a
yeah.
tech concept that he's like, what kind of solution is this?
It's an end-to-end, like, I mean, there's going to be technology involved, but it's really
Uh-huh.
about shifting the overall paradigm on how money gets from the government to the actual provider, right? Like you go to the doctor
Yeah.
basically goes and checks your insurance and they make a claim to somebody that's going to pay them, right?
Yeah.
And that happens to be, for the most part, federal dollars, right? But
Mhm.
between the US government paying for that service and the doctor that's ultimately providing the care, there are like a dozen hands, right, that are sticking their hand into the pot and taking their rip in the process, right? Because there's benefit managers, there's provider managers, there's different stakeholders in the chain that are involved for compliance, for reducing risk, for um, overall managing and administering dollars, right? And that's what UHC is. United Healthcare is the biggest payer and administrator of federal healthcare dollars. Right behind them is Blue Cross Blue Shield. Those two companies own like 60 to 70% of the entire healthcare market. And so the problems, starts at the top, trickles all the way down. But I think his idea is to start with like a target population and prove that a more efficient model can work. And so, yeah, definitely very interesting. I think healthcare is a space where, whether it's product or anything else that you're looking to do, um, it's going to be a really hot vertical because of the innovation, right? Like we're seeing a ton of amazing research coming out, and I do think like it's one of the verticals to keep a close eye on because it's going to be disrupted, and this administration is very much looking to disrupt, right? And so I think it's really interesting space to keep an eye on. But again, just going back to like how flush the US is, like there's always capital, right? It just depends on what the cost of that capital is going to look like. But we are in the business of making money churn as an economy. And we also own the currency that makes the global economy flow, right? And so we're constantly in the business of making things churn, 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 moving money, spending money, investing money. And that's just how our economy is structured. And so I think that's a product of like, and that's what we're seeing and why and we're the richest country in the world, right? That's just by far,
Yeah.
right? So yeah.
You
Yeah,
can
yeah,
print
yeah.
cash. I think that's the
We
biggest.
we print the dollar.
Yeah, you can
That
print the dollar.
Yeah.
That's the biggest
uh,
advantage that you have. Usually, like Argentina keeps printing dollars. Like I went there, my first day there was 200 pesos, and then my 30th day there was 280. Like that's
yep.
it's when you keep printing money, but because US Federal Reserves is the world's currency, technically there's other countries that's supposed to be like, oh, we're gonna use your money. And so you can technically print and print without having that inflation happen, the same inflation. But that's why I'm also really interested in this tariff, because like the more you lose that soft power and the more you like annoy other people who you use the dollar, what happens with it? Like, can you keep printing later in like 20 years from now?
Sure you
Like
can.
that's kind of like where I'm more interested in. So, going back to the tariff
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess with
Yeah.
this like tariff news, maybe things will be disrupted, like I'm curious if the popularity of US dollar will continue. Like
It's not about
It's
popularity. It's a necessary
it's
evil.
like can you actually walk away? Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
like hard to like walk away from.
It's
Uh
very hard.
If you had
But
$1
in
billion,
20 years,
Zuru,
would
if
it
you had $1
change?
billion, Zuru, what currency do you want that in?
what
What do you
what
want it in? Where you can hold your money? If you had $1 billion, what country are you going to trust the economy of?
Okay, so I am in between two options. Number one
Okay.
option, like the safest and the smartest would be to put it in stock market, right? S&P 500.
Ooh.
So the
Like
dollar. So the dollar.
so dollar.
That's what I meant.
Second option, however, we go back to my own country, Turkey, where interest rate is at like
Oh,
40%. So like I can,
what
you
the
know,
fuck?
so like
There's also hyper. There's
40%?
also hype.
I would just,
There's
I would,
hyperinflation. Hyperinflation in Turkey right
yeah,
now.
but like if it's
40%?
US dollars, if it's US dollars, I would just like convert some of it to Turkish lira, like get the interest and just live for like cheaper, you know, in a
Oh, you
cheaper.
would
No.
convert it.
You have to convert some of it, but the rest I would put it in a US stock market as of now. But I don't know if that will be the case next year, given how, you know, the stock market tumbled today, like with these news.
Yeah,
Palantir's
I know
still
you
going
guys are touching on.
strong.
What's up, Rich?
Palantir's still going strong.
Yeah.
That's all I
No,
need.
and like you guys are mentioning, like this is Trump's and the administration's play on like dampening the market so that he could get everything at a discount. If you guys saw what they announced with the crypto reserve, right?
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
that
crypto.
that
I
one, they're
literally
basically
just create an article about this.
yeah,
100%. But that's
yeah,
why they're trying to like change the whole, they're trying to put like cryptocurrency in the strategic reserve, isn't it? Like that's kind of the whole deal that they're
It's
doing.
gonna be
it's exit liquidity for all the people, all of them and their friends, right? Like who are they going to sell
Yeah.
their billions of dollars of holdings into, right? Is literally asking
Mm.
the government to buy all their bags, right? And provide exit liquidity and basically reduce risk for all the bigger bag holders. That includes like if you saw Donald Trump's son tweeted about Ethereum, right? Like these guys are
Oh,
literally doing illegal shit, and
right.
you just have to understand the motivation so you can try to follow suit, right? I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
that's just
yeah,
where
yeah.
we're at right now with them. But yeah, I think that's again, I think just understanding what Trump is thinking will be a nice indicator for like where you can make some money over the next 4 years.
True. Yeah.
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 Huh.
How good does
Would
it
you
feel?
buy some crypto then?
I've been
Yeah.
buying.
Probably.
Yeah.
The stable ones, maybe.
There's no such thing as stable.
There
Yeah.
they are. The ones that's
Yeah.
at least pegged to like a US dollar or something. The ones that's
That
pegged
there's
to.
only one. It's called US dollar coin that's pegged to the dollar.
There's three, I think. There's three
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah. I mean, I know that's going a little off topic. I don't know if we want to be a back-to product or if we want to stay on like
Yeah, no,
global economy.
I mean, I think product managers should actually, I think, be a little bit more educated on this because, like, there was a time when people got into product management to get rich, and like most product managers right now are just living like paycheck to paycheck. If you take a look at like the guy from, that's why they called it like the mini CEO role, is because like you actually, there was a time when like product managers actually got on to become like a mini CEO. And
I
like
wondered why.
yeah, because and like you would join like a company to be part of an exit, and you would get like shit rich.
Oh. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
my bosses did that at Reorg. They exited in 3 years.
Mhm.
You know, they grinded it out though. It was not easy. They had a lot of late nights. They really had to roll up their sleeves, but they got rich in 3 years. It's not bad.
I mean, that's when the markets were hot overall, and like
Oh yeah,
I think yeah,
2021. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that
and
was a good
that
time.
like
Yeah.
last 10 years has been like a SaaS boom, right? Like what
Yeah.
where were all the big exits? And SaaS has now become, I mean, the major players are still around, but like what's next, right? It's and that there goes to like understanding what's hot in the economy, like what's the economy trending towards, and what are some of the major themes, and that's how you identify potential for exits or longevity for an industry, right? Because this is a major innovation cycle with AI and everything else happening. And AI is really at sort of the center of all that, right? But what does that mean for you as a product manager in your career? And who you're going to be working with even, right? Because I think in the next 5 to 10 years max, like the job of a entry level or junior engineer is going to be obsolete, right? So what does
Right,
that mean for
right.
you as a product manager, right?
Yeah.
Does that mean you want
Well,
to tool up, right? Like,
Cool.
they're saying that there might be more product managers once they get rid of the engineers, but I don't believe
Really?
so.
You'd
Yeah.
have like, okay, so you'd have like you'd have like product managers that can actually get shit done is always going to be in demand
For sure.
because like 80% of the product management market just sucks at their job.
Oh, are you saying like the ones that who could sell or like the ones
The ones that can
who
actually drive rev,
yeah,
like
exactly. The
like
ones who could sell then. Yeah.
I mean from the tech management standpoint, what like how that role even got created was they needed
Yeah.
somebody with a business mindset
Yeah. Yeah.
that that wasn't the engineering manager anymore. Because what they would do back in like um early 90s, mid 90s was
Yeah.
investors just wanted to know when are we going to make money, and the engineer
Yeah.
could not give them an answer. So
Ah.
and they couldn't communicate because the way that people that's like, with more of my background is like, so how much money are we going to make? And how much, how much more time do you need? Like what needs to get done? And engineers just really couldn't answer those. Like, well, like it's like that really depends. Like, well, is it going to take 1,000? Like, you'd literally have guys from New York that's like, is it going to take 1,000 years? Well, it's not going to take 1,000. So is it going to take 100 years? Like, okay, so now we're getting somewhere. Is it going to take 50 years? Is it going to take 20 years, right? And then you would have like
Uh,
the engineers that would be reporting. This is like all documented in HR that would have like these massive, you know, panic attack slash heart attack slash insomnia slash like hypertension slash like
yeah.
diabetes slash
Ah, diabetes.
slash like
Oh
yeah.
no.
So they're like, I don't know. So why are you even on the payroll? And
Oh
yeah,
shit.
so they created a role called the product manager, and it was kind of the idea was, um, you guys all watched that movie like Oppenheimer, right? Like
Yes.
you didn't have to watch. Yeah, like that was kind of like the motivation for the role was you had a bunch of scientists that were kind of like lefties that were working on a bomb. They were like
Uh-huh.
anti-violence, but they were like extremely curious about how big they could blow up a bomb.
Uh-huh.
And they're like,
That's the
well, if
movie.
you leave these guys out there in freaking New Mexico just building shit all day, like that's when they had these guys that were on the military side that were like,
Yeah.
send you guys out there and ask them like every single day, when's the bomb ready? When's the bomb ready? When's the bomb ready? And then they're like, we need that in tech. That's when the product manager role actually opened up, which is like, we need somebody that understands that this is a business.
Oh
Not
wow.
here to
That's
let you guys play
interesting.
Picasso so you guys can just go out there and create shit. Like we really don't care.
Oh
You know,
wow. Interesting.
yeah, that's where the
Yeah.
fight like really began. My boss told me all this shit. Like you'd sell because you'd have so if you got into tech at that time, like 90s and like early 2000s, you had your pick of like working in and like for Raytheon or Boeing, which is really comfortable. They pay for everything, but it's like extremely boring. You just basically want to kill yourself
Why is this so boring?
because all the contracts are from the military and the U.S. government. They
Yeah.
pay they pay well, and
Mhm.
most of those contracts are won through the old boys club because half of the people that are selling it are former U.S. Congress men that are
Oh,
selling.
so it's very regulated.
Right. So it's
Oh
just,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
I
know,
work in an industry like that.
me and homie
It's very
JD
regulated.
went to West Point together.
Yeah.
Did a few tours in Iraq together, like not seeing real combat, but him and I got elected. And now it's just like I'm going into the private sector in between
Uh-huh.
retirement, and I'm just gonna have to make one phone call to him. And after two Korean barbecue dinners and a drink, Rich, you get to sell us toilets for, congratulations.
What?
$10 a toilet, right? So there's no reason to go out there and innovate because it's just like
Oh,
right now that they're doing all this auditing, they found out that the Pentagon spent like 30 G's on mugs with the logo printed on them that says the Pentagon. Um, and they'll find out most of these most of the people that are manufacturing this stuff and selling it back, they 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 have some kind of special relationship with people in the government. So you sell
Mm.
somebody that's just like you probably want to go ahead and utilize your engineering skills to the effing next level, but you're not able to do that at a Boeing or Raytheon, right? There's no real motivation there to like go out there.
I see.
So
I
come
see.
in
Yeah.
tech, you can get a wild exit because there's only two real extremes.
Okay.
Decent paying job, engineering firm, you want to stab your eyes out and it's boring AF. There's no
Yes.
possibility of you making FU money. There's no possibility. And so like you get the white picket fence, the three
That
bedroom, two bathroom
I
house.
think that's where I am. My job
Right.
is very
Right.
stable, but it's not like innovative. It's not
Right.
like cutting edge, but it's very, very stable.
Or the opposite of that is like
Volatility,
could work for
instability,
right. You know you
startup.
oh no. The opposite of that is like you could work for like a Goldman or Bridgewater, which is
Oh,
like
yeah.
you could possibly make FU money, but it's high stress, high toxic. You
Oh,
don't
high
want to deal with those
toxic.
people, right? So you
You,
kind of
yeah.
had that happy medium with like, let's build some really cool shit. You'd be working with some really cool people. Yes, it'll be a pay cut. So you're gonna have to talk to the wife about eating Campbell's like at least twice a week. But you could
Ah,
it. So it's like the allure of like, okay, there's no other place that I could be in this racket where I would actually be with other people that I want to be with, working on things that I want to work with on, and possibly getting an exit. It hit the trifecta, so that's actually why you
hit
kind of
the trifecta. And
yeah.
where do tech influencers sit in that now in today's
Well,
economy?
well, that dream is already effectively over. Uh,
Techfluencing?
no. Like the dream of like, no, it's
Oh,
like
the old PM, the old PM.
uh
Yeah.
exits
Yeah, yeah,
exits
yeah.
have like considerably gone down even though funding has like gone up. So the number of
Really?
yeah. So you have a lot of fun. You have like a lot of startups that have been getting funding, but how many of them are actually going to the exit? Very few of them.
Yeah, it's a different exit market too.
Uh,
Like there's a lot
Oh,
of secondary
interesting.
markets and private networks, but like
I also
Interesting.
find that to be difference between Europe and American States is that when I was working in Europe, they thought about exit immediately. They still think about exit, whereas in the States, not so much.
no, they do. Every
Do
VC
they?
wants to know. Like if you when you go raise money, like they want to know what these subsequent rounds look like. What do the multiples on the return look like? Like what can they forecast as like a win?
Mm.
And what that exit could look like. I think that's something that is, I mean, we're all in it to win, right? To get to
Yes.
get a major return. Um,
We have
but
like a
I
timeline usually for that.
it really depends on the product. Like my buddy's product is going to take them 18 months to get all the licensing. It's going to cost them like
Mm.
12 million bucks.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean
Wow.
That's
but yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah.
the problem. The biggest problem to fight for to become successful in tech is not really building something. It's
Mm.
fighting regulation. So
Oh, I
Europe,
see. Yeah.
it's like in Europe, at best, you do all this crap and you have to fight and fight and fight, and you're spending about the same amount. You're not spending the same amount of money fighting to get something past you, but you're spending the same amount of time. So if I'm gonna spend 18 months to convince the House of Lords. And then I go to Paris, and then I got to go out there and really like, it's really just, you know, bringing in like Louis Vuitton duffel bags full of cash and just saying, like, yo, can you just say yes? That's right. Like, and then I got to go, and then I got to deal with France, and then I got to deal with Netherlands, and then I got to deal with Germany. And I've already been out of that much money before I even started making money, right? US, it's like, okay, for the same 18 months, I get 50 states and 300 million people free reign. So where would you rather want to go ahead and fight regulation at? You'd probably want to do it in the US and also soft power. If it's
Yeah.
cold in the US, like you know how long it took for Lululemon and Canada Goose to be cool? And that's just
Yeah,
north of the border.
Okay.
Like
yeah.
like Gymshark, that guy was like, if I had like Gymshark from the UK, that guy's like, if I do it all over again, I would have just freaking took a one-way plane ticket to the US because like
Yeah.
I have to convince Brits that it was cool compared to buying like Nike. And then,
Wow,
you
interesting.
gotta like fight.
No
Yeah,
fighting.
so it's like if,
So
especially if
tiring.
yeah, if you're coming from like an English speaking country,
Yeah.
it's gotta be it's got to be like a passion project, like Canada
Oh,
till I die, or like UK, like England until I die. But like,
wow.
I think like,
It's a miracle that they make it out, these non-American companies.
so
Wow.
it's harder. It's harder for you to make it out. It's harder for you to push through and be successful in like the UK or Canada than it is
Right.
in America.
It's
I,
a
The
I think
upside
like
yeah, yeah.
is smaller.
New York State by economy is the 10th biggest economy on the planet when ranked against countries. The state of New
California is
York.
bigger than UK.
California is like seventh or eighth or something crazy, right?
After the
And so
fire,
they
Bigger
are
than the
richer than
UK.
country. Yeah, like they're bigger than countries.
I
And
see,
like
like
the
individual
scale, yeah,
states in the
and
US.
are
So
bigger than
imagine that
countries. Yeah.
combined. Yeah, I
Yeah.
see.
Yes. It's a
Wow.
unique sort of advantage that we have. Did you guys see
Yeah.
that? Did you guys see that take from Chamath? Like he's talking about like Elon and what he's worked on versus like what Silicon Valley has worked on over the last 15, 20 years. And it's Silicon Valley has produced like a toxic social media habit and reels, right? We haven't really seen anything that incredible coming out of the internet, right? Post internet, while Elon has built electric cars, sent rockets to space, brought them back, launched satellites all around the world, and built a telco network, right? Globally. And so, what do you guys like if you had to choose? I know Susan sounds like you want to make an ice skating program in New York. Like,
Yes.
what do you all want to work on? Like with the current climate, for me, it's like there's so much change, and this is another sort of like transition into like a new economic phase. And so, I think that's like it's ripe for opportunity, but you have to pick the right path. And unfortunately for me, the last 10 years, I've always picked the wrong startup. I should have had an
Oh.
exit. Like if I had gone with the
Oh.
boring like HR SaaS platform, I'd probably not be on this call.
Mm.
I'd be sitting on a beach somewhere in Thailand, drinking
Oh,
my coconut, you know?
Thailand. Okay.
Well, wherever.
Thailand.
Like, yes, I mean Thailand, there's a lot of like expats that make money, right? That live out there because you get big bang for buck. Like there's a like
Oh
a very
yeah, my
like a beautiful
chiropractor was
community.
telling me that. Yeah, it's really cheap out
Yeah,
there.
what's he doing
it's
there?
just cheap, it's lit.
He said he's going with his mom. I was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I'm kind of yeah. Are you guys all trying to be tech fluencers? Like screw innovation, screw product. Like, do you think that's the new wave? That's how you survive, right? This
No,
Yeah.
evolution.
the data is already there in terms of like the
Yeah,
creator economy.
for
Um,
sure.
because people are trusting individuals more than they're trusting the brand. Whether
Exactly.
it's like
Yes.
marketing, all the marketing programs, if they're innovative, they have like they're running a whole semester right now, something called the creator brand and the creator economy. So this is expected to definitely go ahead and rise up because that's like there's just going to be certain people that people just resonate with more. Like they feel like I'm connected more to this person. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they even bring in those people that just in big corporation. They bring those personal branding workshops.
Right. I think
Right.
that might be the next step once the individual becomes a brand or whatever. They then get like kind of bought out by a corporation. It's kind of like an exit for an influencer.
Well, you're like I mean, they can't really buy. You can't really buy another human being. The last time I checked, can't really buy another U.S.
Okay.
They can
citizen.
buy a follower.
They could sponsor you. They could
They can
sponsor you.
sponsor you.
They can
Yeah,
sponsor.
exactly.
You could buy the account which
Yes,
has
you
the
can.
followers.
But you need a person to continue making content though, right? So like
Yep.
You can pay them.
partnerships.
I know I sent that podcast to you guys, but like TikTok and TikTok shops, right? And what that
Yeah.
means for the creator economy and being able to directly integrate into a commerce ecosystem, which means like I create content, right? And the model's almost like turned upside down where AI allows these guys to create content at a pace that they never had, they never were able to in the past.
Oh,
And
wait,
they get
really?
paid on every click, right? So anytime that you post
Ah,
content, you post 100 like 50 to 100 different videos on the same product, right? And one of them hit. One of them gets the million, 10 million, 100 million views on TikTok. And TikTok's algorithm is built in a way where it's not based on your following, but it's based strictly on the virality of your content, right? And so these guys are out here just manufacturing content for different brands, and every time somebody clicks through their content and makes a purchase, they're getting these massive commissions, right? I think the going rate is like 20-25%. And so you happen to be a 19-year-old kid making fun content, and one of your videos has 10 million views, and you do 10,000 sales, like you could walk away with a nice 6-figure to even a 7-figure paycheck, right? And so that's, and TikTok's kind of reversed how people think about it. And so
mm.
I do think that's something to keep a really interesting eye on. And something that I'm definitely diving really deep into because they're launching TikTok shops in Korea in April, I think. And I think they're just gonna, like, the opportunity is only gonna grow.
Wait, can you explain how that works?
Yeah.
Is it an AI influencer or is it a real life
No, no.
influencer that implements AI tools to make their videos faster?
It's not even, and there's obviously influencers or brands or personal brands on TikTok, but
Yeah.
what they've done is even out the the playing field so that you, Susan, with 100,000 followers versus
Yeah.
me with 500, right? My
Yeah.
content can pop just as easily as yours, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's not based, because your views and your doom scrolling isn't based on who you follow or whatever. It's based on
Hmm.
your interests, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
like a video from like an account that was just spun up with 100 followers, if the content goes viral, then the content itself goes viral. Like you don't have to have
So
a viral or a major like an influencer account.
so there are AI tools that help you get your
Yeah.
videos to be viral?
Well, there are tools that help you generate content and help you optimize your videos for virality. Like there was this Asian kid that dropped a tool, I think, Rich, that you showed me that like
Really? What is
it
it?
just spins up content with AI for marketing specifically.
I'm
Uh,
kind of interested in using that. What
yeah.
is it,
There's
Rich?
I forget the name
I,
of
I, I
the
sent
company.
James so much shit.
Yeah. I'll share it with
Like,
you guys after I find it, but like I think
I'm interested because I produce stuff very quickly, but I'm curious to see how AI can help me produce it even faster.
I think Midjourney, their like monthly revenue right now is 8 figures, right? People are
Oh,
using tools
Jesus Christ.
like these AI tools for whether it's still content or video content, and the capability is just in like improving so fast. Like you just, let's say you feed an AI like 50 of your videos and say, hey, I like categorize these by style, right? Like,
Oh,
hey, here's my content.
wow.
Like, I want you to edit this in the style of this category, right?
Wow. That would
Overlay,
be
like
nice.
you're able to create like animated content and like digital overlays to enhance
Wow.
the content itself. I'm seeing a lot more of that now that I'm actually diving into TikTok. But like these 20
Yeah,
year
yeah,
olds
yeah,
have
yeah.
like like they're talking to digital spaceships, right? In these videos. And like it it feels produced, right? And they're able to do that by prompting an AI and saying, like, hey, here's a video,
Wow. That
like
makes
put
life a lot easier.
yeah, that's what Gary V also said like in a recent podcast that he held is that
Yeah.
we're gonna see like this rise in like this AI influencer. Uh
Okay.
and then like he's like you guys are gonna see like AI influencer that's gonna go up. So this is actually why you want to have that more of a human brand, because when they start dropping, when they actually start dropping, like he's like, you, because you no longer have to really deal with the Justin Bieber anymore. You know, like you don't have to deal with like I don't feel like writing music today. It's like, no, you're gonna write music. You know, like you can just churn that thing, right? So you have the rise of AI influencer, and then he's like, you're gonna see like a lot of like more lives. He's like, it's gonna be QVC on steroids. That's done with
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah,
You know?
that model works. Live works, right? Like you see these Chinese chicks like
Oh.
selling fucking $1 million worth of product in 24 hours and doing these like marathons.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what TikTok Shops is trying to do, right? Like this, and you if you see the videos, they're hilarious. They'll take a product and they'll be like, here, they'll just
Two
like pick
seconds.
it
Two
up and
seconds.
toss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like literally just unbox and toss in 3.5
Yes,
seconds
I've seen
and
those.
move.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
I've seen
freaking
those.
hilarious. But that's kind of where we're going towards. I'm gonna take like a flip side to like everything we're talking about from a like building your own brand, because I've always remained really private. And so it took a lot of convincing for me to like start thinking about how do I build a personal brand? Because I definitely appreciate
Yeah.
my privacy. So like when everybody's trying to be a brand or a public, right? Like I'm always of the thought that when everybody's running in a direction, you typically want to go the other way, right? So at some point, what is going to be like the rare currency? And that's going to be privacy, right? Like, and so I'm kind of thinking about the like the sort of backwards or the other side of all of these trends and like what that means, right? And I know that's just like a random thought to throw in the air here, but I have been thinking about like, hey, as we start doing more of these, as we're hopefully successful in building our brands, right? It comes with losing that privacy, right? More people are familiar with your face, your name, right?
The bank
What
account
your
makes
opinions are, huh?
the bank account makes up for it. Like,
That is true.
but
And nobody, and
Yeah,
at the end of the day, like no one really cares. Like you think like people
that is
care
true.
so much about
Yeah,
your opinions and your feelings.
that's true.
No, nobody cares. They're just like
That is so true.
they just
depends what
watch
country you
it and
live
then
in.
it's over. Nobody
Uh,
nobody
that-
really cares about your,
Have
Like,
you
you know,
yeah.
it's not that deep. It's not that
have you
deep.
seen, like what was the reception after you became like after you started putting content out there? Like
I
what
haven't like really got. I just created or like I'm just like pulling out of my bag one of my old handles from like an idea that you had over at like 3 in the morning, right? Um,
Mm.
but I haven't started, and I'm very wary of it because it would be very different from what my image to my personal sort of networks are. But I'm curious.
Look,
What
I'm exactly in the same boat, but yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on,
Oh,
so what was
Yeah.
the initial reception from your like close friends when they
for
saw?
Um,
me,
Yes.
Uh, Personally, for me, like I stopped myself from doing this for 5 years, 6 years, and then after I've done it and finally crossed that threshold, I was like, shit, I should have done it a long time ago. Mainly because, and to your point, I get it. A lot of my close friends still don't know what I'm doing, by the way.
I
I
think
do still keep it separate.
Yeah, I think that would make me much more comfortable, to be honest, if my close friends didn't know what I was doing.
it's
It's
impossible for me.
it's they're not
But
in my field, so there's also that. But at the same time, like you post it, and after like 3 weeks or 2 weeks after you post, I'm like, shit. Like the first week was just like, oh my God, people are gonna see me. After you post certain videos, you're just like, shit,
uh-huh.
not enough people are seeing me. I need more people to view me.
yes,
I need to
I
be
see. Very
exactly.
interesting.
posted.
Very
But
Yes,
at the
interesting.
same,
Very interesting.
like
yes.
privacy, I get the privacy, and there's just because
Yeah.
there's a part of you, and I think Rich always talks about the ego with the Beyonce thing and like the Sasha Fierce thing, and he always talks about that. But and you can say
Oh.
more of that, but it's in the
Like an
way
alter ego. Yeah.
to me, whereas just people know me differently. I mean, I have friends who only know me for specific places too, and the first question they always ask me is where I am anyway, and so they don't even know what I'm doing. I've only known
Yes.
them
Uh-huh.
at specific
Uh-huh.
social setting, and not because I don't want them to know whole me. It's just hard, and I don't share
Yeah.
my life anyway in general. So,
Yeah.
this job is just, I mean, the tech influencer, the way I see it, is just like, well, this is just another part of me that I'm comfortable public seeing. But it's not all of me either.
Yeah. I'll race you to the first content posting through.
Oh.
So let's get out there. Let's see what happens.
I mean,
And I agree. That's the
yeah,
expectation at least. But
the model is pretty much proven out because across like just the three fields that like I've researched, like product management, tech sales, cybersecurity, they all have like a day in the life, what do I do? And it's like they see it gets traction in that. And the second one's always like, what do I actually do? Right? It's like Instagram
I'm
versus reality, right? So it's just like
Uh,
because on
oh
YouTube you can
God,
see the
cringe.
yeah, you can see the
It's
where you
so
get like
cringe.
the most engagement of like what do you do, right? So it's just like where it starts. Like people because people can fast forward and all that. And then there's the okay, well, I guess now it's just like people are interested in how I got here. So let's talk about how I got here. So like how I broke into like tech sales, how I broke into cybersecurity, how I broke into product management, right? And then they talk
mm,
about like salary, and then they're like how much I make, and then they
Yeah.
always hold like, a lot of cash. And then it's just like and then the next one is like, okay, so they do like some kind of home or apartment tour. And then
mm.
after that, like it's like I quit. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah. After that,
literally,
they
Yeah.
After that, they
exit.
come back though. After
yeah.
that, I
Yeah.
have seen many of them come back to corporate.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
really?
Like
you
Chloe,
won't
she's
know.
out.
Yeah.
Chloe's
Yeah. I
out.
mean, you won't know.
Yeah. Like
You gotta take the stab first. I think that's what I'm hearing here
Mm,
more than
yeah.
anything.
One
But they
thing
You
always
know.
quit. Huh?
Yeah.
yeah, they do. And then they come, some of them come. So one thing I noticed about especially product manager influencers, right? That
yeah.
they spend like so much money and it's like I feel like sometimes they like show you what they spend on, like how much they spend on, and it's so lavish, and I think it creates a little bit of a controversy, hence like traction, because people are like, what the hell, like how can you even be making this much money? Like that's the trend I noticed, especially the ones in living in New York City and Bay Area. And it's just been like, it's so interesting. I think they do it
Mm.
on purpose. They do this like how much make and how much I spend, not make. They make how much I make a mystery so that you keep on following them to see like how much they make. So I think like this content creation game has been like lately really centered around the money they make.
100%. There ain't no like there's nothing lavish about being poor.
Yeah.
Shit. You know? I
Yeah.
actually looking back at it, like I should have actually done more content with the freaking Eugene building. Like
Yes.
I like freaking
Yes.
hell, dude. Like, but it was a thing, right? Like I always like, oh, I'm like right by Penn Station. I don't really want people to know where I live.
That's
Interesting.
why you have a security guard, a doorman.
Still, dude, you don't want people to know where you live.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah.
Interesting.
When I lived
Interesting.
at Gotham too, man. When I lived at Gotham too, like some guy was like running next to the
Oh
treadmill
yeah. I
apartment
will.
gym. I was like,
See,
can you
I
F off?
travel everywhere. I travel every couple of months anyway, so I never really worry about that so much.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
They can
Like,
pinpoint me after a third month and I'm gone.
Like I know a lot of us, we have this like, oh, I don't want to my privacy, this and that. Like the there is like a bad, like a dark side to social media. Like you do get haters, you get people who they don't understand you, and like there is a lot of like bullshit you do have to deal with. But when you have people who get you, they know what you're doing, like the people who understand your authenticity, and then they actually get inspired by you, the upside is so much bigger than like the bullshit that you deal with. So you just kind of have to see like the bigger picture, I think.
100%. You know that girl that I showed you, right? Tiff and Tack? Like she was actively like putting it out there like I'm in a coding boot camp right now. I'll let you know exactly how that thing's going and like how and that actually like I guess when she was on the like people that she was probably the one of the very, very few people that was actually doing that. Everybody else that was doing a coding boot camp didn't say anything. And that actually
Yeah, I think so. That's
fast.
how Marin got famous. She was talking about her. Do you guys know Marin, the
28 dates
dating?
in 28 days.
Exactly. Everyone was going on 30 dates in New York City in 30 days, but no one was posting it because we were all afraid. Oh, I don't want people to think that I'm, dating the whole wide world. So no one was posting, but everyone was doing it. And then now she has her own podcast. She has her own matchmaking company. Like she's huge now.
You have
So
her own
Yeah.
boyfriend now. She
The
moved in with
more the shit that like what I've noticed is like, and I think it's kind of makes like the thing that you don't want to put out the most, that's
that
actually gonna,
is,
that's gonna be what
yeah,
people want to watch the most because nobody else is also willing to do it.
exactly. That's why
So
it's so hard.
like you're filling like this void right in the marketplace where because like everybody like all that stuff is like already well that's already out there already so like what's
Yeah,
gonna be the
exactly.
market differentiator and the people that are willing to go out there and cross that kind of threshold they're the ones
Oh,
that are
excuse me.
actually printing cash like
I know.
uh,
Ah,
you know how many people I say like I'll still hear that they'll try to get me on a call and they'll be like but my company has like, really strict media. I was like, what are you talking about? There's some motherfucker walking around Meta right now. That's a part of your onboarding packet, like don't talk about that month. Literally lies you like, I'm at the cafeteria right now. So look, we got like 9 toasters right here. And I actually didn't realize, but if you wanted a specific type of toaster, and like my friend here, literally, I saw this shit. I was gonna send it to Duru. Like, I guess Turkish people make coffee a little bit different, so we got a Turkish coffee maker here, and we got like, he's like, I was like, this guy.
wow. So while you're worried about like, oh my God, what's my company gonna think about me? There's already the next guy filming, about to make his next million right next to
Yeah,
you.
the hilarious shit is like the hilarious shit is if you have a brand. It's like one of my best friends. One of my best friends. Why she works at Warner Music, right? And you guys know who that the Shang-Chi guy is.
Yeah.
Timu. They're like, she's like, they all rave about his girlfriend saying like she makes her own money. She's at Warner Music. She's a second year exec. Well, my friend's always like, I can never get her on Slack. Nobody sees her at the office. Every time I look at Instagram. She's at Milan Fashion Week promoting Shang-Chi. How is she not getting laid off?
Oh
Nobody's
man.
ever met her. But the hilarious thing is like she's on the payroll. That W-2 is going out every other Friday like clock. Like still has full access to health. Yeah. So it's just like if you have like a brand like yeah like you're essentially speaking you're a walking commercial for the business so like dude get on that AI like flex that AIG with
Yeah, I'm gonna have to tap you there, Drew. I have some questions for you.
AIG. That's kind of
Yeah.
catchy. AIG.
I'm not a part of AIG anymore though. I'm with the new company. AIG got divided into two, so
Shut
oh,
up. Oh, I thought Rich was saying like artificial intelligence, like
I
Instagram.
I
Like
think it was a
I
play
thought
on
that was.
words there. I think that was
no,
Oh,
I actually meant the company AIG. You're not with
Okay.
she
AIG.
went for AIG.
I thought you were
oh,
saying you're a G of AI.
That's what I was
AI
thinking.
girl
Actually,
like
I was
Yeah,
like
but
AIG.
not that clever.
Yo,
Not that clever.
AI.
Wow, it got interpreted in like several different
Oh
ways.
man. I mean, it would have been like, think about it. Like if you would have done content just like you taking the train to go into Colombia, like how I managed like working as like a full like that shit would have printed, you would have been like, I don't need to work in it. You guys are costing me money coming into the Zoom call, how much my time is worth.
Can I ask y'all, ladies, because you guys, there's three of y'all, like, it's easier for chicks.
100%.
Like, it's easier for chicks to do this, to jump into this racket.
I
Like,
think I
I'm
think
asking, I don't know. That's
I
just my
think yes,
perspective.
and the reason why is because I don't mean to like imply anything, but I think women are more interesting. Like more products. We have a
Low
whole like
key.
skincare routine, like we have our hobbies, like we have friends, and then we go to like more places. Like I think women like, and then we design our space. I think like women be like, there's so much more opportunity for product placement for women, and there's so much more opportunity for like inspiration because we do all that shit. Like I do it myself, for example, green juice in the morning, like immunity shots. Like I've never seen a dude do like that many like rituals, right? So I think yes, it's easier for women because we have like much more like material.
Oh yeah.
I agree. I
I,
agree.
I, I, dis-
Wellness,
I,
I
dis-
see the
I
angle you were
disagree with
talking
beauty.
the,
about.
I disagree with the reason, but
I have a different reason, but I see where you're coming. I see the angle. Yeah, I see the different product placements
I
that
also
could work.
feel like it's easy. It's also like it looks like it's easier based upon the data, but I also feel like more women are willing to put themselves out there compared to guys. Like
Eh,
I feel like more like you'd have more guys that would prefer to be more private versus like, I
Mm.
think like,
um,
well, I don't know. I'm getting mixed
I
things.
don't know. I find that the other thing too between guys and women, like women and men, like the difference is women are more able to talk about their vulnerabilities, which is actually what gets more views.
Oh,
They're more
I see.
emotional
Right.
views.
Like Chloe she opened up about
Yeah.
her layoff, right? Like
Yeah.
that's
Well, it's
not
more like the
Getting heard to
Her
easy.
talk
layoff.
about your
She live
layoff? You
streamed
got
her
laid
no,
layoff.
just
off.
She recorded her layoff, not
yeah.
only
Well, just to talk about something vulnerable and weak in terms of other, it's a lot
Yeah, and
easier for
then
them to.
Marin talked about her dating life. Like you don't hear guys talk about it in that way.
and you know how she became famous? So once I think it was February 14th, she went on a Valentine's Day with this like hedge fund dude. And then the dude like reserved the best restaurant and all that. Like he did everything right, like amazing. But then she didn't go for a second date. She was like, oh, like we didn't like the chemistry wasn't there. We didn't like, like and all of the like meme sites, Trust Fund Theory and all of them, they like ripped her off. They were like, oh, like that's what happens when like women go on dates. Like that's what happens when you
Yeah.
Oh.
that's how
Oh
she
my.
went viral
No, but
through
Wait. That's how she went viral from the memes?
like kind of. And then Bloomberg
That
made an
that
article
makes
about her.
that makes sense. I know Bloomberg, she got big from that, but it could have been all the hate that she got
Exactly. It
from
was
those
that like
memes.
one hedge fund dude that she rejected and she like documented
Yes,
she
because
became
those finance memes, they're vicious on
yeah.
girls. Like they are so nasty. Like the things that they say. Like I saw one today that this girl, she was cute and she had a selfie video and then like the subtitle it said when you're a 27-year-old Deloitte analyst and he's afraid that you're a gold digger. And then the comments from the guys were so mean. They're like, oh, when an average girl thinks she's a supermodel, oh, she's too mid to be talking like this. They were so savage. But those nasty male toxic comments are exactly what's going to make her famous.
Yeah.
Exactly.
no, yeah, like the hate content. It's freaking,
Yes.
yeah, dude, that's what,
Actually,
yeah.
Jessica, this girl that I follow, she gave me some mentor advice and she was saying that's what you want. You want the polarity in your comments. You don't want everyone to just be like, I love you, I love you, I love you. You want people to kind of fight. She had a post about how like cheap things for $200. And she said people started fighting in the comments because they were like, what the fuck? $200 is a lot of money. But like she said, you want people to kind of like troll and to fight because that's what drives the engagement and that's what the algorithm wants. They just want people on the app.
We need to talk about Andrew Tate way more than on this freaking podcast. That guy, because they all
He's
like,
so polarizing.
no, everybody dude, him and his brother, they studied the hell out of this shit, and they're like, all right, man, there's got to be a better way to make a living than like fucking going into kickboxing matches too and get do over.
I don't are they like are they in jail now? Where are they?
They're in Miami.
Yeah, they got
They're talking about they're thriving right now.
They're thriving. Dude, wasn't Andrew Tate talking
they're
about why
chilling.
would you live in Miami? But he just talks mad shit, right? He just like he purposely says crazy
Yeah,
stuff.
like a lot of people think like his conversion to Islam is just like a whole like there's no way that guy
Publicity stunt.
no way.
You don't think so? He seems kind of
No, there's no way that guy quit drinking, man.
oh, quit drinking. Oh yeah,
That
you
guy's
can't
probably getting
drink.
ready to head out to live right now.
Yeah, that is
He
true.
he just got released, I think. Like he's still in
Yeah.
trial.
But
But they
what did he
finally
do? Was it
yeah,
was it sex trafficking?
They said it was allegedly, but nobody
they
Allegedly.
you know,
I still don't know how he made his money. I think it's like getting webcam chicks, right? And like
no,
becoming
or
like their agencies for this stuff, right?
I know.
no.
And
He's got
Uh,
like this thing called and everybody that's in the content game studies the hell out of him because that guy went viral like hard. So he has this like monthly membership called the Hustlers University. And I bought that thing. Just that thing was horrible, anyways. But like, it was like for 50
you
bucks.
bought
No,
it.
because everybody wants to see because that guy crushed the freaking YouTube algorithm. Trifecta is
Oh.
like YouTube, IG, TikTok, and people are just wondering like, how the hell. But the guy crushed it, and then so he has that low ticket one, and then it's like 50 bucks, and it's all about like it's essentially like another version of like male improvement, right? He monetizes off
Oh.
of like that, the male
Yeah.
displacement. And then he has the higher ticket one where for 5Gs, you come out to
Wow.
Romania and like, you guys will grill some meat in the backyard, like do some MMA, and then like talk about male improvement. That's 5Gs. I was like, people pay us like 7Gs now to get a job. We got to stick with these people for like 4 months. I was like, I would love to charge freaking. I was like, James, you and I should just run a thing where we'll make you into a man. You got to fly out to Korea. 7Gs. And like the thing now is like for after his trial, the guy racked it up to like 15,000. People are still paying that. Basically like
Wow.
you come out, you'll do some like affirmations, go to the gym, cold plunge with them, and then I think at night they take you to a club. I was like, for 20 G's, me and James do way more for a year. You'll
yeah,
go
I,
back there feeling like
Wow.
Superman.
Oh, I feel bad for those guys.
Yeah, no, but yeah,
it's fine. It's validation, you know. And like, if you're a sucker, you're a sucker, right? I'm a firm believer in that. Like, but how do we
It's
make
so
this
hard.
conversation more polarizing? I think that's what I'm going to try to drum up in terms of ideas because, like,
Oh, this
I think,
one.
Oh,
like, I think like whether it's having very opposing views on
You got to
something
be very
and
like opinionated.
you got to
Or
be
like
very opinionated.
that
Yeah.
that could be your like Sasha Fierce part of you. Like maybe you're not like that in your day to day, but your social media persona could
yeah,
be
yeah,
someone
for sure.
completely
Well,
different. And then you don't even have to worry about your privacy because that's not who you really are. It's a
I
different
mean,
persona.
and like the craziest thing is this, right? Like honestly, the best way to get out of the 9 to 5 grind is just to get out of the 9 to 5 grind because when you start
Huh?
dropping shit, like when you start dropping some shit and then let's just say your company turns around and terminates your ass,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
when you
yeah.
really rack up. People love it when they're like about to get laid off. Like Did you guys see that one video where the girl from Cloudflare? She was gonna get. She's like, it was so funny. She was working in sales at Cloudflare. She
Wow.
hasn't closed one deal, and like they're like, all right, so it's like, hang on, who are you? Where's my manager? And they're just like, well, Brad's not here right now, but we're doing this call with you to let you go. And she's just like, I'm just gonna stop you right there. She's like,
Wait,
stop.
she recorded this
You
conversation with like
recorded
HR?
that whole thing.
Holy shit!
And I
She
don't.
recorded. How did she saw it coming? She knew.
100%. You see, you like wake up in the
Yeah.
morning and you feel it. It was
You
like,
feel it. You feel it for 2-3 weeks. I was there. I was there. Fuck, I should have recorded my HR video.
100%, man.
Oh, I didn't know, Rich. Why didn't you tell me back then? You
It
didn't
was so
tell
funny.
me.
It was like, I did tell you guys. I was telling everybody, like, you guys should
You
be.
told me recently. You didn't
No,
tell
no,
me
no, no,
two
no.
years
I put that
ago.
shit out there in the product gym, the product gym newsletter, and then so many people are like, I would, Rich, I'm not gonna live stream my layoff, and then now I get a bunch of people that are, fuck, I should have live streamed my
Oh, I
layoff.
should have done
Like people
it.
are just like, I think like people are now like I'm seeing this so raunchy right now on LinkedIn. They're like, I think I'm getting laid off now on LinkedIn. Like
Wow.
they'll throw their
No, but
IG.
I heard when you like do that on LinkedIn now, you have a fighting chance to like find a new position at your company.
100%. Because they
Like
don't need that kind
like
of PR disaster.
Ain't
because
nobody gonna hire you if you yeah.
before, like if you were gonna get laid off, the company like they would just lay you off, like, and they would get away with it. They would get away with murder. But now, if you use like social media, LinkedIn, whatever, and you get some following and people follow that post, you have a fighting chance.
None of the like right now it's freaking hilarious. Like you see all these Reddit threads about Meta laying off people about the underperformers.
No, I haven't seen it. What are
And
they talking about?
like they're like, how am I an underperformer? Like they've people have actually been listing out the influencers at Meta. They're like, I can't believe this guy's still on the job. I can't believe this girl's still on the job. Like I can't like I haven't even I've never seen this person even at the office. I don't even know why I was like forced to go in. Um I think shy of like I think there's probably only one place, one company I can think of right now where if you pull this shit, you definitely get axed completely is like Tesla or like an Elon Musk company.
Oh yeah. They're no nonsense.
If
Doge.
if you try to like Elon would just straight bazooka you.
Yeah. And he's
He'll
like
live stream
number
it
one
himself.
influencer. He
Do it for
loves the
damn
social
sure.
media attention.
So he because think about it this way, like who else would why would you buy a Cybertruck if like otherwise if Elon Musk had nothing to do with Tesla, I don't think people would be buying Teslas. Like he's the perfect example of like I'm gonna be an influencer. And that's actually why like I'll send you this thing in like in the group chat in a little bit where they talk about like the Mark Zuckerberg PR team because like the previous time he got grilled by Congress, he had like no sympathy. They're like, Mark, you want to know why, nobody's dragging like Elon into like Congress and grilling him, and like even when they do, he's like a rock star. Like his last like SEC, the last time he went into like the SEC like he brought in for an investigation. That guy, people thought that was like a freaking ASAP Rocky concert. 'Cause people they're like somebody actually went like somebody on his PR team actually went to him and said like, yo, people hate you, man. They think you look like a robot. And they're like, do we want to trust this guy with our data? And like when the US government grills you, people are actually like rooting for the US government. And he's like, what should we do about that? And he's like, well, we need to grow out your hair. You need to wear something else other than a black shirt when you're coming to
Oh,
the
is
office. And
that why he
yeah,
looks like
yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
hip hop artist now?
Yeah, now it's just like you see him like recording like music, like He's playing golf. He's like,
plays
He's spending his
golf?
money.
yeah,
He's spending
like
his money.
now
Yeah.
he's like a little bit like they're trying to make him be more relatable to just the regular person.
Oh wow, that was intentional. He was this new brand image was lab grown.
100%, yo. Tim Cook's like, I'm too old for this shit. But Jeff Bezos straight does not. Jeff Bezos, he's letting you know what he's into, right?
Jeff Bezos.
The
uh,
legit glow up, the 60-year-old glow up,
I
that I
know.
cannot.
Glow
That's my dream.
up.
That's my dream.
It's coming, James. 40, it's coming. Yeah.
tell me about it. Yo, all right. So next week's podcast, same time. Yo, you guys ready to drop some long form YouTube out there?
Yeah.
I
I love the
tried,
ripping up. Let's
but
rip up these influencers. I think that's a good one.
yes,
Like
I think
that's
it'll
a
be fun. I think
Let's
it'll be
go
so
through.
much fun.
No, let's go through.
Yeah.
Let's go through the Airtable next week.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that works.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, fam. Thank
Great
you,
talk.
guys. Episode 3.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.